Hello and welcome to my video, lesson 6.4 on trigonometry problems. So before we get into this, make sure that you've seen my last video on the basics of trigonometry and SOHCAHTOA. I will go through it very quickly here with the basic three equations just as a reminder, as a refresher, but it's important that you've gotten the basics down already. So we've got the expression SOHCAHTOA, and this is just a way of helping you remember the order of the equations. So, for example, we've got sine of the angle equals opposite over adjacent. So opposite over hypotenuse, sorry. So S-O-H, so. And then next we've got cos of the angle equals adjacent over hypotenuse. C-A-H, ka. Then we have tan of the angle equals opposite over adjacent, and that's T-O-A, toa. And you can rearrange any of the equations. So I'm going to do that for only one of them, but all the other two are similar and likewise. So we can rearrange to get O equals H sine theta, or we can get H equals O over sine theta, and last we could get theta equals sine to the negative 1 over of O over H. So all of these can have an equation like that, all of these can have an equation like that, all of these can have an equation like that. They're all the same, essentially. You just have to rearrange them with SOHCAHTOA in mind, with the order in mind. Okay, so let's begin by looking at a question here. There's lots of text here, so let's read that out and then we'll try it out. You're standing on the roof of an apartment building and want to know how far it is to walk to a nearby house. You know that your apartment building is 6 floors tall and the house is only 2 floors. If you have a laser rangefinder, which you point at the peak of the house, and it tells you that the peak is 25 meters from you at 20 degrees, how far is the house on ground level? Alright, so you're standing on top of the roof, right over here, and let's use a green little man here, standing on top of the roof, and they're looking down and they have a rangefinder, which is actually pretty common in construction. You can usually point it at something and it sends a laser and bounces back, and the length of time that it takes tells you the or actually is it the frequency? It's probably the frequency actually, not the length of time. But anyways, that's more of a physics topic. They shoot the laser, fire in my laser, right, down, it gets here, and it bounces back, and it tells them it's 25 meters long after he fires this laser. Okay, so the question is, how far away are they from the house? Well, the first thing you have to do in any of these problem questions is to first recognize the triangle. Okay, so what is the triangle here? Well, we have the hypotenuse, that angle part, and if you go up like this and across the top, now we have a triangle. Okay, I'm going to draw it just so you guys can see what triangle I'm talking about, just in case you couldn't see it before. That is our triangle that we're trying to solve for. Okay, and next step after you've recognized the triangle is to choose the equation. Choose equation. So choose SO, Ka, or TOA. Well, the question is, what do we want to know here? We want to know this side here, the adjacent side. and it's adjacent because it's next to the angle. And what side do we not care about? We don't care about the opposite side. We don't care about it at all. So, thinking about SOHCAHTOA, which honestly I would write down every time at the beginning of a quiz or a test or whatever, or even at the beginning of a question. Oops, TOA. Which of these does not have the opposite side? Well, this has an O, and this has an O, so both of those have opposite. So CA is the equation we want to use. So we use cos theta equals, actually not even, let's use the actual numbers here. Cos of 20 degrees equals adjacent, which we don't know, I'll just leave it A, over hypotenuse, which is 25 meters. Alright, so that's step 2. Step 3 is you need to rearrange and solve. Rearrange and solve. So now what we need to do is get A by itself. So this is on the bottom, so it needs to go up here, so that A is going to be by itself. So since it used to be on the bottom, now it's going to go on the top. So 25 meters times by cos of 20 equals A. Now we just need to plug that into our calculator, which I'm doing right now. And we get 23.5 meters. So not a huge difference because 20 degrees is not a very steep angle from the rangefinder, but it is a significant enough difference that it's important that you do SOHCAHTOA. So 23.5 meters. So these guys are probably next door neighbors or maybe one house over. Pretty cool. Okay, let's take a look at one more question here. Please make sure that you guys pause it and try it out yourselves. Keep in mind those 3 steps. So pause it if you need to, and yeah, otherwise follow along. Based on the diagram below, find the height of the taller building. Well, the taller building is here, so we're kind of looking for this height here. All right, so find the height of the taller building. All right, so first thing to notice is that the height of the taller building is actually 2 parts. It's the smaller building plus the rest of the height after that. So I'm just going to write that down. All right, and let's make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, that'll work. We're going to use orange. Okay, so we're looking for the height of the taller building. So on the diagram below, find the height of the taller building. What is our first step? First step is to draw our triangle. So here we have this angle. We can go up and go across, just the same as our last one. And this is our angle in here. Now, we have no more information other than the angle, but we can find the information. Hopefully you notice that right down here we have 150 meters, so we can just write that up here. Okay, now that we have that, what are we trying to find? Well, we want to know this opposite side, so we can add it over here, right? And we do not care about the hypotenuse. So we're just going to exit that one out. We don't care about that one. So which of the 3, SO, CA, or TOA, does not have the hypotenuse? This one has an H, this one has an H, so we're using TOA this time. So tan of the angle equals opposite over, actually I'm just going to use O, opposite over adjacent, and adjacent is 150. Okay, so similar in terms of how we're going to move this over, we're just using a different one of the SOHCAHTOA expressions or equations. So 150 times tan of 10 degrees equals opposite. So let's type that in our calculator. 150 times tan of 10 is 26.4 meters. Okay, that's not our final answer. What we need to do still is to add it back to, just like over here in red, we need to add it back to 30 in order to get our final answer. So 26.4 plus 30 equals 56, and we probably just round it to the nearest meter here. But 56.4, 56 doesn't matter. Alright, I hope this video helps you understand how trigonometry can help in the real world a little bit better, and some trigonometry problems. Good luck!